Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, September 15th, 2025. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Dan Rubin in just a moment. So what do we now know about Ohio State that we perhaps did not know entering the season? We're going to go through that. I did a column for Bucknuts this morning. You guys can go read that. It's on our front page right now. The three biggest things that I learned, particularly in the OU game, but basically overall this season so far. It's funny, we're already 1/4 of the way through the regular season. Football seasons go fast, but so that we've already gleaned some things. And I'm curious to get Dan's take on all of this because I jabbered about this on what we learned live after the game. But let's start with the obvious. The first thing, and I was high on Bo Jackson coming into the year, but I didn't think I'd be sitting here after 3 games and saying there is no doubt he needs to be RB1. Like, it's not even like a debate in my mind. I'm sure it's a debate for Carlos Loughlin. It's he actually, it's his job to debate these things. But seriously, I think we saw the changing of the guard. The guard didn't take too long to change all 3 games because what did we see? Against Grambling, we saw Bo Jackson. Yeah, he had 9 carries. Yeah, he led the team in rushing, but that was against Grambling, and most of his playing time came in the second half, games out of hand. What did we see against Ohio University? He's in there when the game's very much on the line. He had as many carries as Donaldson. He had 2 more carries than Peoples, and he had 23 more rushing yards than those 2 guys combined. So I'll be shocked, as I said in my column. I won't be shocked if Bo Jackson doesn't trot out there with the first-team offense when they take the field against Washington. I hope he does. I think he might. But I will be very surprised, 2 things. If he doesn't lead the team in carries against the Huskies, and if he's not the starter before long, whether that's against Washington, whether that's against Minnesota, Wisconsin, whatever it might be, Bo Jackson's going to be RB1 before long. Let's bring in producer 1 right now, Dan Rubin. Good to see you on a Monday, sir.
Right back at you.
So I did the column for the site. We're going to go through the 3 things, the biggest things I learned. I'm going to get your take, and then we'll go through some other stuff as well. I know I'm Captain Obvious here. I don't even have my cape on, but my first thing is we learned that Bo Jackson needs to be the starting running back on this team, in my opinion.
I read your column. It was wonderful. It's on the site right now, leading the way. Yeah, you, my best NFL source, and my son, all at the same time, sent me a text. I don't think you actually, we may have discussed it later, but that was the theme. Bo should be RB1, I believe is what I got. To say it's Captain Obvious, maybe. It's certainly surprising. I wouldn't say disappointing, but I certainly did not think we'd be this early in the season with it feeling that obvious that he is seemingly the best option. Now, my concern is durability. He was hurt last year as a senior, and it's just a lot to ask when you think number 1 running back for a guy that age. With that, he's a good-sized kid. He looks to me like he's probably going to be 10 or 15 pounds heavier by the time he leaves. He's still kind of wiry, certainly isn't the word, but he's, they say when they talk about all the running backs we've had, and I'll include last year's guys too, people may think I'm being hyperbolic here. Bo Jackson's upside, okay? Keep in mind what I'm saying here so that you don't drive off the road. Upside, meaning if everything went great, he's got the best combination of skills of any of the 5 of them, if you include Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, C.J. Donaldson, James Peebles. He's the biggest, strongest, fastest combo deal. I'm not saying he's the biggest, the strongest, or the fastest, but if you put them all into one guy, he'd probably be your guy. Now, the other guys are proven commodities and such, but it does not take a rocket scientist or whatever Matt Patricia is, aerospace engineer or something goofy, to see that he's just got a little something extra. The word that was used was from the NFL guy that I talked to was, Bo has the juice. So take that for what it's worth.
He's got the juice. Yeah, I just think, maybe I'm looking too much into it. It seems like Carlos Loughlin, tipped his hand isn't even the right phrase, but like, man, when Bo Jackson's out there, games on the line against Ohio University, and he shines like that, seems like he'll be the starter before long. I love this freshman class. I absolutely loved it. I loved it when they were signed, but like, I think they're even better than what I expected. I just love this freshman class. All right, the next one. Speaking of running the football. All right. We've seen a theme during the Ryan Day era. This includes his time as offensive coordinator. First year, 2017, pretty good red zone efficiency. Not elite like they were last year. I'll get to that in a moment, but pretty good with JT Barrett. Short yardage, goal line. I'm talking about scoring touchdowns in the red zone. I'm not talking about field goals. Red zone efficiency, touchdown-wise. All right? Pretty good in 2017. And they took a step back in 2018 with Dwayne Haskins as far as red zone efficiency, short yardage. Now, that was the best passing season in Ohio State history. So you're going to say, oh, well, what are you worried about the quarterback run with Dwayne Haskins? It's not just that. It's the red zone efficiency. It took a step back with Haskins. Then with Justin Fields in 2019 and 2020, what did we see? Good red zone efficiency, good short yardage efficiency with a quarterback that could run the ball. What did we see with C.J. Stroud? We saw the most accurate quarterback that I've ever seen at Ohio State. Well, maybe Julian Sand will be that, although he had a little bit of a shaky game. And we know C.J. Stroud can run. His first touchdown as a Buckeye was a long run against Michigan State in the COVID year. When in his last game, he ran the ball against Georgia. So I don't even think it was C.J.'s fault. It's just they didn't want him to run. And they were not a good red zone team as far as scoring touchdowns during the C.J. Stroud era. They weren't terrible, but they weren't good. They were terrible then in 2023 with Kyle McCord. Okay, they were about 60th in the country. About 63% of the time they're scoring touchdowns. What happens in 2024? They go from one of the worst teams in the country to one of the best in short yardage and goal line efficiency in red zones. They shot up to 76% with Will Howard at quarterback, 5th in the nation. So you go from 60th in the nation to 5th in the nation. They were number 1 in the nation for a while. That Michigan game kind of hurt their stats a little bit. Sorry to bring that up. So this is a concern of mine. And it's not mitigated by the fact that when they needed a quarterback run, they had to put Lincoln Kienholz in there. Now, does it sound alarms? No. But here's the problem. If the defense knows Julian Sand's never going to run the ball, it gives them a numbers advantage. And we've seen it time and time again. When Ohio State has a good running quarterback, they're good in the red zone. When they don't, they're not.
Hard to argue with what you just laid out there. Here would be my question. Why were they so interested in saying then? Because I agree with you. And I thought if you look at the way Ohio State wanted to close out games last year, a lot of it was the Will Howard run. We all remember Penn State. That's the most obvious one. But if you go back and look, they got conservative at times last year when they maybe wouldn't have, because they had the QB run. You know what I'm saying? They would come out in some possessions and just try and run it at you late when they had the lead. Here are the two things I would say. You have to feel like in the grand scheme of things and the total combination of things, Julian's ability to throw the ball down the field will eventually offset that. I'm not sure it will. And I don't want to say that. Realize I'm saying things that sound hyperbolic. Julian, I've watched football for 3 weeks. I haven't watched every quarterback. He throws the ball as well as anybody. Okay.
I agree.
Now, I'm not saying he's the best passer of the quarterback. I'm on the verge of saying that. I may actually think that and be saying something else so that people don't aggregate this. But he throws the ball as well as anybody down the field. Will Howard, it was not the downfield passer that Julian is. He'll never be. That is a blessing that Julian was given from the heavens. So you have to hope in the grand scheme of things that the overall efficiency of the offense outweighs the inability to run the ball consistently. Now, also, I think Julian, he's not in a wheelchair back there. If he had to run, I think he could do a little bit better. They haven't even let him at all, really. I think he could actually do it. I agree that I would never ask him to run, given his frame, in a game that I didn't have any concern about the opponent.
Right. I agree.
I don't know if that's a choice that they're making schematically or because he didn't run it against Texas. But the other two teams, let's just be honest. It's like I said, they said, what would it take for you to think OU would win this game in the round table, I would say, like natural disaster in Central Ohio.
Yeah,
There's
I was
nothing
thinking like
that can make
turnovers,
me
like
do that.
turnover, like madness or something. Like if Ohio State
No,
lost
food poisoning,
7-0, then I liked your answer better though. You're like,
listeria outbreak, something unnatural.
yes, like if we have
I don't know. I would be hesitant
ever in Columbus.
I am in heavy benefit of the doubt mode here because they've literally given us nothing as a staff since the end of the game to question anything they've done on or off the field. In my opinion, I think they're moving beautifully. I love how they're recruiting, and I've been called a lunatic by someone, which I appreciate, for supporting their recruiting approach. But I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, and when they put in Keenholz, I don't think that was out of necessity. I mean, they could have run a bunch of plays. I hear what you're saying. I think that was almost to get him a little burn and also throw a curveball at everybody so they just have it in the back of their mind. But
yeah, I like how he took a big hit and just got up and gave. I love Keenholz.
He's a stud now.
Ideal backup quarterback in this age of college football. I mean, have a veteran. Yeah, if you're a third-year sophomore, that counts as a veteran. I do want to say something because I would agree with this. We're just talking about this year. A lot of people in the chat are like, "Come on, it's 3 games. They're not showing their hand yet. Julian will run later." Okay, let's hope that happens. But like, I'm seeing a very similar situation to C.J. Stroud, where we've got an elite passer. Yeah, he could run. We know C.J. Stroud could run. We've seen it. We saw it against Georgia. He was just told not to run. I'm not saying Julian Sand couldn't run. And I agree with Dan. I don't need Julian Sand taking hits. I don't need unnecessary hits. I don't need him running against certain teams. But once or twice a game, picking up a cheap first down. Or if you're at the goal line, you fake that to the running back. The defensive ends are going to be collapsing in because they don't have any faith that Julian Sand is going to be able to run the ball. He pulls that out. That's going to be an easy touchdown. So that's what I'm saying is just a few times in big games because we didn't see it with C.J. Stroud. You could say, well, we'll see it eventually. We never saw it with C.J. till his last game. So I hear what you guys are saying. I hope you're right. I hope it's one of those things they're just keeping it in their back pocket. No need to show it now. Didn't even need to show it against Texas because they're up 14-0. Then they're just trying to run the clock out. Although it would have been nice to see Julian run for that easy first down and that last drive. But go ahead. I know you want to jump in, Dan.
I don't think Ryan Day loves the QB run.
No, he doesn't. No,
I'm serious.
I know.
And I'm not saying that to be funny. I don't think he loves it. This is the thing people cannot – I talk to people about a lot. Justin Fields did not run the ball his last year here. Go look. He very rarely ran the ball relative to – if you spoke to someone who's just an NFL fan, and when you talk to them about Justin Fields, they talk about him like he's Michael Vick. He threw the ball here. They didn't want to run him because they were – I think Gunnar Hoke was in glass, and they break this in case of emergency. So I don't think he didn't run that much. So I just don't think Day loves the quarterback run. I don't think he believes
I gotta jump in here. This is ridiculous. I love this argument. Well, most pro quarterbacks don't run in the red zone.
That's irrelevant.
Oh, I didn't know we were talking about the NFL. We can talk about the NFL. I was under the impression we were talking about college right now. And guess what college quarterbacks do? They run the football. Look what Will Howard did last year. Will Howard had 7 rushing touchdowns. He picked up several first downs on 4th down, 3rd down. So get out of here talking about the NFL. I don't care about Tom Brady with the Patriots. We're talking about college football, and I just laid it out since 2017. Since Ryan Day's been here, when they have a good running quarterback, they're good in the red zone. When they don't, they're not. The stats are the stats.
Hollywood Hager. This is it, right? This is why they didn't run him.
Jeez.
Because he would get hurt. Also, college football, there have been dynasties built on the option. You can't do that in the NFL. This is 2 different sports here, people.
No, I had to jump in there. Jeez. All right. Last thing that I learned, we're going to get more stuff, but of the 3, my gosh, this defense.
Great.
You lose. Okay, it's insane. Ohio State reloads. We know the Buckeyes reload, still basking. Of course they reload. There's reloading, and then there's losing 8 starters, all of whom were NFL draft picks on defense. So not just 8 draft picks total, 8 on defense. All of them were NFL draft picks, and none of them were 7th or 6th round picks. The worst was 5th round. Denzel Burke. Everybody else was 4th round, 3rd round, 2nd round, or 1st round. So you lose 8 starters. You have 3 guys back, pretty good guys to have back with Caleb Downs and IGB and Sonny. I tell you what, man, they're the best defense in the country again. And I'm not saying they're better than they were last year, but they might be. And another thing that we learned, but there was a lot of people, not you and me and not Bucknutters, I don't think. I think most Bucknutters were on board with it. But when Matt Patricia was hired, including a lot of radio hosts here in Columbus, were very critical of him. And they would talk about, he didn't do good as the head coach of the Lions. I'm just thinking, geez. Well, you can't find those people anymore. As I said in the call, you'd have a better chance right now of winning the Powerball lottery than you would have of finding somebody who thinks that Matt Patricia was a shaky hire by Ryan Day. He was a grand slam home run hire. This is a fast, physical, suffocating defense. I love the way Patricia mixes things up. They confuse teams. Ohio University had 180 yards of total offense, and 67 of those came in like a broken play when Lorenzo Styles, got beaten coverage and then missed the tackle. I love what I'm seeing out of this defense, man.
Could not agree more. I would say to you trolls, work on your spelling. Can't be trolling with bad spelling. That's no good. I'll tell you what I think it is. Having watched a lot of football over the past weekend, for sure, even in the NFL, as we conflate the two, they don't bust. That sounds like an easy statement, and that they're doing what they're supposed to do. When was the big bust? Do you understand? In coverage, when was the guy running free? You remember that? There was times here, if people remember the beginning of the Knowles era, they were giving up 50-yard plays like there was some kind of pizza giveaway. It was crazy. So I think I agree with everything you said. I think talent level wise, Jermaine Matthews is just a better player than Denzel Burke.
Yes.
So that's one thing that's helped. Davison Igbinosun, he's about to not going to happen. I'm not having a freak out today after yesterday. I spent all of it. It's all on the floor at Texas Stadium. I just don't think. What's that? You're off the NFL? I don't blame you.
Talk about the NFL. My quarterback.
I don't blame you, dude. I have to literally say
Burrow got killed. Yes, and it's turf toe, which for people, all of us know it because we follow football. People that don't follow sports are like, oh, turf toe. That's probably minor, right? Nope. They're saying 3 months maybe. You got somebody in the chat saying he's out 3 months. It's like, I don't think it's official yet, is it? Because if it is, I'm going to go jump off my roof.
I believe turf toe is why Deion Sanders eventually had to have his toe amputated. Turf toe is not. It's like when they say high ankle sprain. It's not a high ankle sprain. Okay, they've dislocated something in their shin, and it's got this term that everyone thinks, oh, walk it off, ankle sprain. Hey, just walk it off.
Oh no. Last I heard, they were saying, oh gosh, it is official. Man, I like when you guys break good news to me when I'm live on the show.
Fear the scroll, Dave. What did I say? Fear the scroll.
I know.
That's every season. Fear the scroll. Every minute is fear the scroll. It's disappointing. That's a bummer.
Burrow, I love Burrow, and Burrow is tough. I'm not questioning his toughness.
No doubt.
I'm not even necessarily questioning his durability. Here's why. He takes a lot of hits. Since he's been in the NFL, he's had either the worst offensive line or one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, and he passes a lot. And he runs a decent amount because he's not just when he's running for his life, but he's one of those guys I'm talking about that he's not a running quarterback, but he'll pick up a cheap first down or two with his legs. Not for the next 3 months, he won't. But here's the thing, and a lot of people brought this up. Like, they're like, well, you can make excuses, but it's one thing after another now. Even going back to Ohio State, how did Dwayne Haskins end up being the backup quarterback that year? Because it was going to be Joe Burrow. Burrow broke his hand in practice. Now he stayed healthy at LSU. Especially his senior year, I don't recall anything his first year at LSU. So it's a little unfair. And his first year with the Bengals, it was because a former Buckeye, Michael Jordan, got just destroyed and got thrown back into Burrow. You're going to blame Burrow for blowing out his ACL. He had appendicitis. He had a guy fall on his wrist the next year. So it's been like things that you could excuse. That you're playing quarterback, you're playing a violent sport. It's just bad luck. But then you could say, well, maybe some guys just have fragile bones. Josh Allen takes a lot of hits, doesn't he?
Sure does.
Now, he's a big boy, but Joe's not a small guy. Josh is definitely bigger, but not a ton bigger. And it really, even dating back to Ohio State, it's been one thing after another with Burrow. Disappointing.
I'll tell you what, I hate to say this, but I was hoping when I watched it, because I watched it live, I was hoping it was a concussion, because you really couldn't tell from the replay where he got hurt. At least I couldn't. And I was hoping, only because the concussion wears off. I'm not hoping for a guy to have brain trauma. Please don't post that. But I thought he might have taken a knee to the head in the confusion, you know what I'm saying, in the hubbub there, and went down. But no, that's brutal. That's just so brutal. Hard to even, I forget what I was even talking about.
One of the few times you wish it was a concussion. I'm sure Burrow would agree with that, knowing him.
I hate to say that, but it's true.
Yeah, seriously, I'm sure he would. Sure. Okay, let's get to some
Hold
other
on a second.
stuff.
I want to finish my point. I remember what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Here's what I think the key to the defense is, and what I guarantee we're not going to have next year. I think the confluence of Matt Patricia and Caleb Downs mentally, and I keep giving this guy credit. He's called the film guy. He's getting some more run down south. He literally just breaks down the film after games. I think he's in Georgia somewhere. He did the Ohio State-Texas game. That's what drew me in there. But what he said was this guy watches film all the time. He's never seen more heads turn towards Downs as the cadence is being called by the other team, because Downs is the one going, no, you're here, no, you're here, no, you're here, no, you're there. And so Downs is hearing from the aerospace engineer. Downs is a genius in football and probably whatever he is majored in. And then that gets out to everybody. So they're in the right place at the right time. And here's my example for this. I was trying to explain it to my boys. If you're in the right place at the right time, you can afford to miss a few tackles. You'll still be in good shape. When you bust, that's how you give up touchdowns, right? When you make mistakes in the coverage, that's how you give up big plays. When everybody knows where to be. For example, the Broncos won a Super Bowl with a quarterback who had a jello arm, Peyton Manning, because they always got to the line of scrimmage and ran the right play. Now, it wasn't that they ran the right play. It's they stayed out of the bad plays. They didn't have busts on offense. They didn't have mistakes in protection. Same for our defense now. I'm knocking on something here, but there's just remember, go back and look at the tape. The first few weeks of the season for Ohio State, the touchdowns that were scored against them in the past would be a mistake, and they'd hit a screen pass, and it would line up for them. Even the 2 touchdowns Texas scored against them last year, they got caught in a defense where, they were chasing the running back out of the backfield. Was almost a bust. There's no busts so far. Now, they haven't played, we'll talk about Arch later sometime, I guess, but they haven't played, juggernaut offenses. But to me, the idea that you have a shot at every play based on the calls and there aren't mistakes because you have smart players and a safety net of the smartest player and smartest defensive coordinator and the microphone system he's got the green dot, I assume. So it helps to have the best players. And then if they're all in the right spot and you have a chance to make the tackle, you have a better chance. And then you have what we have now.
Last things, we've been talking up some defensive players, the last few weeks that have stepped up, Caden McDonald, and we've talked about Jalen McClain stepping up. You mentioned Jermaine Matthews, or we've talked a lot about Arvell Reese. These guys are playing awesome. I feel like I haven't talked enough about Caden Curry. Caden Curry looks really, really, really good. I like Bo Atkinson. I like Kenyatta Jackson. I like this entire DN room. But Caden Curry, I don't think he's been getting enough pub. So I want to give a little love to Caden Curry.
I could not agree more. And this also feeds into my theory on the transfer portal. Caleb Curry is a senior. Total number of games Caden Curry started before this year. Do you know of anyone? Now, it would take a level of football knowledge that I don't think is a realistic expectation of people. But do you know of any other seniors starting who are that good on the same team that they arrived at to start football? There's just no way. This is what I'm talking about when you talk about paying the players. So, for example, the safety you get who comes in as a freshman next year, Brian Womack, he better be better than Jalen McClain next year. Do you think he will be? I do not.
No.
So I would not pay him. Sean Duffy asked, and it's a good question, and Sean's from Centerville, is a good fan, and he loves to pay the recruits, and I get it. And his question is, go back in on Derek Cooper, the running back from Florida, or go after a transfer running back. I would be hard-pressed to pay a running back out of high school because I'd be concerned if they could produce right away. Hello, Bo Jackson. That surprised me, but I still feel like you'd have a better chance of going and getting the best sophomore at a school that's not going to win the national championship or isn't in the mix. And I also think he'd be cheaper, by the way. Keep in mind, the highest paid freshmen are getting more in a lot of cases than the highest paid transfers. So very happy with the way that's gone. And like I said, Caden Curry, Kenyatta Jackson, Jermaine Matthews could have transferred last year. You don't think Jermaine Matthews could have started at Purdue last year?
Okay, he would have started as a true freshman at Purdue. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So let's benefit of the doubt, people. Go ahead. Sorry.
That was it. It's been fun meeting a lot of people that are in the chat, and they mention you as well. They come up and they see me before Ohio State games when I'm over at the 97.1 tailgate show that we do. And I meet so many Bucknutters. It's really, really, really cool. Some people that are not in the chat that just listen to the show. A lot of people that are in the live chat. Our guy Buck Rational's there front and center every show, wearing a Still Basking shirt that he made. We've got to get in the gear game. We've got to start making our shirts with our different slogans on them. So, all right, my man, I appreciate it. He is Dan Rubin, and he'll be with you tomorrow with
the Dean's back. The Grand Poobah's in town, and we'll have some good stuff from the weekend. Landry Breed, the offensive lineman from Menor, who was offered by Ohio State last weekend, came to visit this past weekend. Mark went and saw him play, so we'll have video on that. But we have it all. We'll have it all for you. And, looking forward to things with some time off here. The team get recharged. There'll be some recruiting talk for sure.
That sounds like a must-listen edition of the Bucknuts Morning 5 tomorrow at 9 o'clock with Dan and the Dean and the Poobah. All right, guys, I appreciate it. Thanks to Dan. Thanks to all of you. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Go Bucks.